Okay, here we go. More data, just what you always wanted. Just wanted to check in and let you know what I've been doing. Part of what I've been doing in the first quarter is testing students' oral reading fluency. If a student tested below the 35th percentile on the reading comprehension tests that we gave them in early September, I pulled them aside to give them what's known as a CBM, a curriculum-based measurement. I know, lots of acronyms. In this case, a CBM would be an oral reading fluency, or ORF, screener. They took just minutes to do, but in testing the kids, what I wanted to know is how many words correctly they could read per minute, and how do they stack up against the national norms, okay? When I listen to a student read aloud, I can tell a lot about them. I learn about how they strategize the often tricky parts of English. And even better, when a student makes a mistake, or when a group of students make mistakes, I can tell a lot about where they may have some gaps in their decoding. As many of you may know, English is very tough to read and to learn for people of all levels. It has 44 sounds in it, 44 distinct phonemes, but only 26 letters in the alphabet. English, as a result, is what's known as an opaque language, meaning the way it's spelled is not often the way it sounds, which is quite different from languages to a degree like Spanish, which does have some tricky things, and certainly Italian, which looks pretty much the way it, or rather sounds pretty much the way it looks. Now, I know that I'm not talking to a bunch of reading specialists here, but if you listen to your students read and you hear similar mispronunciations or miscues over and over again, you can address that. So here's where we are at right now. 63 students were given that additional screener in September and October, the students who tested sub 35th percentile on the reading comprehension part of that FAST bridge. So of those 63, 34 tested at moderate and, 34 tested totally at moderate and at high risk categories, meaning they read 144 words correct per minute or lower. So just so you know, the benchmark for a 9th grader right now is 177 words correct per minute. And that's not like that. It's fluent, precise, flexible reading. It's not a speed race. That's what I always tell the kids before they screen with me. What I've learned through CBMing the kids is that there are kids who are great readers, and yet they understand nothing of what they read. Conversely, there are students who really struggle to get the words out, and yet the concepts come naturally to them. However, they can't read the materials, so they can't access the concepts. This is dire. So I saw a few mistakes over and over again. And the neat thing about the FAST bridge is that it teased out explicit spelling patterns that we often get wrong. So I specifically address these mistakes. You have to be explicitly taught them. It's not something you just naturally learn, that this spelling pattern has 3 different possible pronunciations, perhaps even more. I really, really drill this in my English lab class, which is made up almost exclusively of students who've tested below the 10th percentile, both in comprehension and in fluency. So here are the mistakes I saw the most. Shrewdly. The neat thing is, as I'm listening to the kids read, I can click on the words they get wrong and then go back, of course, and see those patterns of the miscues. Shrewdly, again and again, the kids got it wrong. They're just very confused about how that EW pattern is supposed to be dealt with in the middle of a word, especially after that kind of complicated beginning of that sh, right? So say the word shrewdly. Hear that ooh in the middle? So that can be spelled so many different ways. Many kids got up to that vowel pattern, that EW, and they just stopped short. They didn't know what to do. Ew, shrow, shrew. So EW can make that sound. UE, like blue, to name but two. What about zoo with the two O's? So there are many shrewdly mistakes, but the ones that I saw the most was anything related to IE. The word varieties, kids struggled mightily over. Varit, again and again. So the rest of this short video is going to be one way that I would work on that spelling pattern and the sounds with the kids. Again, I just want to make the point. You're not born knowing that IE can make like a long I sound like pie, or a short I, this is rare, but like mischief, or a long E like peace, or that it can even straddle a syllable like diet. It's not deep, it's not wheat, or varieties. Notice that there are two. That's a great word that Fastbridge chose to use, because notice that there are two examples of the IE pattern in that word, and they're pronounced totally different. IE makes a short sound, like a short E rather, like yet, in only one common word, and that is friend. But then notice what happens in the word fiend. What vowel sound is that? What vowel sound do you hear in fiend? We try to begin in English Lab and in the pullouts that I've been doing with just going over the 44 sounds of the English language, the 44 phonemes. I'm not going to do it here, but it's fun, and the kids actually look forward to doing it. The consonants and the digraphs are on one side, and then the toughies, the vowels, the long vowels and the short vowels and the R-controlled vowels. These are tricky, are all on the other side. And we spend a lot of time on the right-hand side of this map because the vowels in English are tough. We're vowel rich, and the pronunciation can, at least at the outset, seem very unpredictable. It's not unpredictable, but it can seem that way. So let's decode some words that feature this pattern. Let's start with varieties, the words that many of the kids got wrong. So what you're looking at is a group of Elkanin squares. I didn't write that on the slide, but that's what these are called. Each square gets a phoneme, and that square also gets not just the phoneme, the individual speech sound, but the corresponding spelling pattern of it as well. So here are the, 7 sounds of varieties. Let's do them. V, I, T's. Varieties. V, T's. That D and T can be super tricky. Is. Varieties. Now, you don't have to be a reading specialist to do this, and of course, you don't have to necessarily use this word to decode, but I like to point out the features of the word, namely that tricky R-controlled sound that opens the first syllable of this word, that R sound, varieties. We express it in the sound with the sound pattern with the virgules, the lines on either side, as ER. And then notice what happens. After that R, we go right into an open vowel, I. Actually, that sound is a syllable in and of itself. And then after it, that sound, classic American English sound, you hear it again and again, varia. And then here's where things get tricky. Is it varieties? Is that how you say it, or do you say varieties? Feel what your tongue does right after that, varieties. tongue very quickly strikes the top of the at the top of the teeth, the alveolar ridge, if you want to get specific. And then another long E sound there, an IE again, and then Z to close out the word and make it plural. It's not varieties, it's varieties or varieties. Here's an orthographic map of the 7 phonemes of the word varieties. Did that clear up which spelling pattern you or which sound pattern you're using for IE? Well, it may not have cleared it up, but at the very least, for now, it made kids aware that yes, this is tricky, and yes, IE can be expressed in multiple sounds. Look what it's doing in peace. It's a long E, and here are the 3 sounds of peace. E, S, with the corresponding spelling underneath. Here's mischief, with that unique short I. And I always want to make it clear to the kids that this is a unique sound for this letter. We only see it in mischief and kerchief are the 2 relatively common English words. We see I sound for the IE pattern. I, S, ch, f. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sounds, but how many letters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letters. What? 6 sounds, but 8 letters? Crazy. Okay. So I try to, if our heads are spinning, I try to sum it up by saying this. When in doubt, go long E. IE usually says E, like peace and prairie. And of course, not all the time, because what about pie and die and tie? It only says that short I sound, like kerchief and mischief in those 2 words. At the end of a 1-syllable sound, IE is like brie. It's not braya. In fact, that word brie, a common name here at Taconic, really messed up some kids. They just did not know how to express that word. It was used as a name of a character in one of the stories that I used to test the kids. Excellent choice for a tricky word. So here are some great words that you can decode or that I can decode with the kids. And some of them are lookalikes, but not sound-alikes, and certainly not, they don't mean the same thing. Like diet. And remember, start with the sound. Remember how we started the year? Start with the sound. Diet, peace, varieties, friend, chief, pie, fiend. These are some of my favorite words. Variety. See how it's different from the plural? Fried, kerchief. And then decode those. Phoneme for phoneme. I like the thumbs up game, so I'll say these words, and if you hear a specific sound, you can give me a thumbs up. So give me a thumbs up if you hear a long E here with chief. What about shriek? Quiet? No, quiet's different. What about the long I? Pie? Peace? Nope. Deep? Different spelling pattern too. Diet. That has a long I in it. And yep, it's notice that it's also 2 syllables. And the syllable break occurs right in between that phonogram of IE. Diet. It's not deep or diet. The kids like it when I do that. All right, thumbs up for short I. Belief. Friend. That's a different sound. It's not a short I. It's like an eh. It's a short E, like egg. What about mischief? Mischief. I hear it there. And then we read. I have targeted readings that address the spelling pattern, right? These are more fun than they look, and I have many of them, and you can make them into tongue twisters, and I think they're fun. When I get a chance, I will record kids reading these because it can get kind of silly. So there you have it. There's one possible thing you can do with the data is look at the mistakes your kids make, not just the things they get right, but the things they get wrong. You can build entire interventions based on that. And they don't have to be long, right? They don't have to be long. Anyway, if you want me to come to class and do something similar using Elkin and Squares, using decoding, using read alouds, I'd be happy to do that. Okay? Everyone, if you have any questions, please let me know. See you later.